Hi, this is Oscar here, the Simple Surgeon, talking today about evidence-based medicine. This is the first episode of the series, Evidence-Based Medicine and Scientific Methods and the Dangers of those. First, I would like to say a disclaimer. I am a simple surgeon and I love science. I love science and I love evidence-based medicine, and the one thing that I like the most about it is discrediting the myths. So apart from knowledge, there are myths run into or put into medics' heads that are going on for generations, from one generation to the other, passed from one generation to the other, that are just not true. And I strongly believe that the scientific methods and the evidence-based medicine is a great tool to discredit those myths. The scientists are like mythbusters, and they are putting things right. But today is about the dangers of evidence-based medicine, or EBM, and the scientific method and the guidelines. And let me start by explaining what evidence-based medicine is. Most of you who are in the medical field may probably all know that, but I know for sure that some non-medical people are watching those videos as well. Therefore, EBM stands for evidence-based medicine, meaning practicing medicine that is based on some hard evidence. And the hard evidence is defined by the scientific method, so the experiments that are constructed to assess a certain process or treatment or outcomes in the unbiased way. And to use that, we use computers, we use statistical methods to make those claims, make this evidence harder. So hard evidence needs to be even harder. But I'm going to show some soft spots of evidence-based medicine in those videos. But starting with definitions now, apart from EBM, and that E in EBM, the letter E, can stand for other things than evidence. And the video number 3 will be on that. But today I'll be concentrating on evidence-based medicine. Now, the evidence taken from the evidence-based medicine or from the scientific method is used to give guidelines. What are guidelines for? Guidelines are there for two reasons. One is noble and the second one is less noble. The noble use of guideline is to unify, to make the similar choices, unify the treatment of certain conditions, unify the approach, and make everybody do the same, and then we can see the results probably as they are shown in the evidence that is behind each guideline. So unification of treatment, so we can assess what is better, what is worse, put a guideline, and if everybody follows the guideline, we should have the results that were shown in the research. The second, less noble way to use guidelines is to cover one's back, or the place where the back loses its noble name. So medics or some medical people are told, if you follow the guidelines, you are right. If you follow the guideline, you cannot be wrong, you cannot make a mistake. And as long as in certain emergency situations, I believe this is true, in my simple surgical mind, I cannot accept to use the guidelines in that way by any intelligent person. So there is no excuse to use the guidelines and the research without any thought, without any deliberation, if you are an intelligent person. And I need to underscore this twice, no excuse. Why? Because both EBM and guidelines and the scientific method have their faults. And I'm going to show you some of those soft spots right now. Now, the first way that one can misuse evidence-based medicine is the language. Misusing the language, misleading, misguiding language used. And the example comes from the very top. Have a look at this. Have a look at this. This is taken from up until recently fairly respectable body called World Health Organization. And I took it from their website only a couple of days ago and it's still there. So these are the guidelines for COVID-19, coronavirus pandemic. And what can we see here? Read very carefully. What is the question? Can eating garlic help prevent COVID-19? Can eating garlic help prevent COVID-19? And the answer is no. There is no evidence that eating garlic has protected people from COVID-19. However, garlic is a food that may have some antimicrobial properties. What does that mean? And why is that misleading and misguiding? Well, this is something that I need to say clearly. Lack of evidence of something is not evidence of luck. So if there is no evidence that garlic helps, that does not mean that it doesn't help. It means we haven't found the evidence. Did the World Health Organization took 1,000 people and asked them to eat garlic, and another 1,000 people asked them not to eat garlic, and expose those two groups to coronavirus and calculate whether one had more infection and the other had less? No, they didn't. They just say there is no evidence. So the true statement here is that there is no evidence about what garlic does, but the misleading thing is the word no. No, there is no evidence. So can eating garlic help prevent? The proper one should be we don't know. We don't know because there's no evidence. So don't eat garlic and believe in it, but we don't know. This is the truth in this statement. Now, garlic, I'm not saying garlic is a cure for COVID or can prevent COVID, but I don't say that doesn't. The evidence doesn't show it. Now, garlic has been used to prevent epidemics and pandemics for thousands of years. Ancient Egyptians used garlic and used onions to prevent the pandemic or infections spreading among the workers. You may remember if you read the Bible that the Israeli nation, while leaving Egypt and traveling through the desert, was longing for garlic and onions that they were receiving while in Egypt. So for all we know, garlic can be cure for COVID. But because there is no evidence, the WHO dared to write no, that it doesn't prevent. The truth is they don't know. They don't know. And this is an example of misguiding and misleading language, because a lot of people cannot distinguish between lack of evidence from evidence of lack. If there was a study showing that exactly the same amount of people got infected while being exposed to COVID-19 or coronavirus, eating garlic, not eating garlic, this may be some evidence of it. But there was no. And when there is no evidence, the proper saying, the proper wording should be we don't know, there is no evidence, not no, there is no evidence. So that's example number one. The second example of misusing the language while reporting the research results is jumping into conclusions. And jumping into conclusions can be dangerous. I'm going to give you an example from my own field of pediatric surgery. Up until well, recently, 15, maybe 20 years ago, all the cases of appendicitis, inflammation of the appendix, had been treated with surgery. So operatively, treated with surgery operatively. Recently, there is a new trend to treat some, if not all, of the cases of appendicitis with antibiotics, which means conservatively, without surgery. And I'm not going to show you any specific research. I don't want to put any person on the spot. I have no reservation to put the organization on the spot, but I won't put any particular person on the spot here. But I have read the research saying, oh, we have started to treat people with antibiotics for appendicitis 2 years ago, and these are our results, and this, in conclusion, means this is the safe way of management. How do you know it's the safe way of management if you have tried it for 2 years? So there's no short-term complications, that's what you know. You will not know what will happen to those people when they're adults. How would they feel? What were their symptoms after that treatment when they're elderly? Would the girls treated conservatively be fertile? Do you know it? No, you don't. Hands up, all those girls who had their appendix removed surgically when they're kids and now have children. You can comment it down below. And hands up those who had appendix treated conservatively and now have kids. What's the percentage? What's the chance? We don't know. The time frame is too short to say it's safe. So the proper wording again should be it's safe in the short term. We don't know the long-term consequences. So these are the soft spots, not of the evidence-based medicine in its nature, but the usage or misusage of the results of research or lack of results, as in the case of World Health Organization. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the fundamental error, a fundamental error of the evidence-based medicine that is irrelevant. It's not connected to any misusage. It is in the method itself. But those examples today were only on the misusage of language, misguiding or misleading presentation of the results, or presentations of opinions which are not based on results, but are trying to imitate this. Oh, I'm so angry at the WHO. This is what I think. That's my personal opinion, but I am just a simple surgeon. Bye.